HIV changes you. As much as people say you look strong, you are positive, you have days that you know that you have a virus in your body.
Pulukhulu Ramutwala has lived with HIV for 14 years.
My early days of HIV, I used to have something called the cooling system. Yeah, a cooling system. So every time when I feel like, okay, I'm about to break down, then I kind of open up that cooling system inside. I don't know how it works, but even today, it still works for me. I sometimes play music to calm myself down. One of the first songs that I used when I found out that I have HIV, it's, Seal, there's a song called Crazy. We're never going to survive unless we do something crazy. That kind of got me to where I am. I still played. Even yesterday I was playing it.
In another life, Pulu and Gao Makhosa may have never even met. Pulu would have been a journalist, Gao a flight technician. Different worlds, but HIV had other plans.
I know lots and lots of people, but I have very few friends who that I can tell them anything and everything, and I know that they're not going to judge me. And if they feel that I'm wrong, they're going to tell me straight in my face that, dude, this and that was wrong, please don't do it again. And then that's what I like about him. He's one of the very few people who have so much faith in me. I feel that sometimes he throws me into the deep end, and he says to me it's because he believes that I can do that.
Which is how Gao and Pulu find themselves about to do something a little bit crazy, to open that cooling system inside, to do more than just survive. They've decided to take the big swing at the end of a bungee cord at Durban's Moses Mabhida Stadium. If you had told Pulu that he would be taking unnecessary risks with his life 5 years ago when he started taking antiretrovirals, or even 14 years ago when he first tested, he'd have said, you're crazy.
HIV in 1999 was a scary disease. And I think for a 19-year-old to find out that you have HIV, then I just thought my life is over. Everywhere you looked, people were dying from AIDS. Every message that we got around HIV that time, there was nothing positive.
The Thabo Mbeki government wanted to make AIDS a notifiable disease that doctors had to disclose to the government if they knew. Pulu had just begun a postgraduate degree in journalism at Stellenbosch University.
My worry, it was that, what happens if I disclose my status? The fact that now government wanted to make HIV a notifiable disease, it just kind of made me feel like, oh God, I'm at risk now of all these people who are going to react negatively to my status. Luckily, my parents were deceased by then, because I think my father would have killed me.
The only place Pulu could find support and the freedom to talk openly about the things on his mind in those days was by joining the highly politicized Treatment Action Campaign. Now, in the informal settlements and townships where they worked, Pulu found people living openly with HIV, but he needed something different.
I've always wanted to meet other people who are living with HIV. And when I say other people, it's people who are kind of the same level as me. Either students, young professionals. I wanted somebody who's got a postgraduate degree, who's living with HIV. I wanted to meet people who work for big corporates who are living with HIV.
Durban-based radio journalist Christa Biela also felt that the issues she faced in the corporate world were different. Activist organizations didn't give her what she needed to make sense of her life. But while Pulu was trying to find the others, Christa was keeping them at arm's length.
I actually thought I was going to die. Okay, let's wrap up, ring the bells, we're going. Every time someone will say HIV or AIDS and you feel like a twitch, like it's a reminder, and you feel like they're talking to you, and how most people will be critical. Oh, that's why he's like this. Oh, so and so, oh, they died of AIDS. And suddenly it's like, ouch. It's like someone is stepping on your toes every minute and you can't say ouch. So you keep quiet. So it was very suffocating and it was very painful because I didn't allow myself to dream. And I think it's the danger that we do as people who are living with virus. When you lock yourself into a corner, you start believing what you're telling yourself. So it was suffocating because I locked myself in this little room, and every wall I turned to was telling me, you're gonna die, you are dying, you're sick. And I hated funerals. I didn't go to funerals because every time I see I saw a coffin, I would just suddenly see myself inside, and I think, oh my God, oh my God.
If you think Pulu and Krista had a hard time finding themselves after testing positive, try putting yourself in Nomasomi Limako's shoes. In the early 2000s, Nomasomi thought her life was finally turning around. Having had disabling polio as a baby, she had lived away from home in special schools all her life. But she now had a good job, was surrounded by her close-knit family, and she was expecting twins.
My babies are the miracle from God. I cried because I expected only one baby, but God gave me bonus.
God was so good to her that people's reactions caught Nomasomi off guard.
I was attending the antenatal clinic, and then the other healthcare worker who was supposed to help me, she asked me, how did you become pregnant? And then I was so surprised. How can she ask me such a question? And then I asked her again, what do you mean? She said, no, tell me, how did you sleep with a man to get pregnant? And then you may wonder, what is wrong with me? It's only my legs that I can't move.
Nomasomi got used to people's torment. She could even deal with her baby's father leaving her because she still felt God was on her side. But when she applied for life insurance and did the compulsory blood test that revealed her HIV positive status, she lost her faith.
I went to my doctor. Fortunately, I'm close to my GP. That's when I could see that the GPs are not meant for counseling, because he was blunted crying. Oh no, what happened to you? Why are you HIV positive and all those things? And that would make me to retreat again to my corner and say, oh, which means I'm going to die.
Nomasomi retreated further and further into a very dark corner, going through the motions, finding no one with answers to the questions that chewed at her.
I went to the support group in our location. I was just about to enter, just looking at them at the window, and then I saw it's young girls. There was no one with a disability, and there was no one who's older. And I told myself, no ways, they will judge me, these kids. I don't want to be judged by kids.
A life ruled by fear. At home, she told no one. At work, one friend tried to be supportive but didn't know enough about HIV to be truly helpful. Nomasomi resigned herself to dying.
I was so stubborn. My doctor wanted me to start in the ARVs when my CD4 count was 120 something. I couldn't take the ARVs. I said, no ways, because I'm working around the pharmacy and the people will see now that I'm having HIV. No ways, I won't take my ARVs. I remember very well when they announced the 2010 World Cup that is coming to South Africa. I said, oh, I will be long dead then.
Gao also fought a long battle with denial and getting real with HIV.
My doctor, I always say that he pushed me. He felt that I should test, the reason being I had swollen glands behind my ears. And he kept on saying to me that I'm a healthy young man and then I should go and test for HIV. And then I said, no, I'm not testing for HIV. I didn't see myself as a candidate for HIV at all. I said to him, but I don't look like them. I don't stay in a shack. And he said to me, he gave me some information. He opened my mind. Like, it's not really people who are who don't have proper jobs, people who are not educated, people who stay in shacks, only them who get HIV. So I sort of realized that actually, yes, I might be a candidate and I might be positive. And then I did not want to know if I was positive, because my thinking at that particular time was that if I'm positive, I'm going to die, because that's what I understood at the time, that HIV translates to death.
After 8 months, Kau finally took an ELISA test, which yields a highly reliable result. His doctor gave him a week to think about his life before giving him the result.
At the back of my mind, I did not believe that I was positive. It took me about 2-3 months to actually understand that, yeah, I do have HIV.
That's something that I hear from people, that when you find out that you have HIV, you lose hope, you give up, you think it's the end of the world.
Before I tested, I had a nice townhouse in Kempton Park. It was a nice 2-bedroom townhouse that I loved so much. But after testing, I strongly believed, actually for me it was more than belief, I knew that I was about to die. I tested around May, I believe. And then to my understanding, I was not going to see my next birthday in January, so I did not even have a year, according to me, to live. So I sold the townhouse, and then I got some money out of it. Instead of saving or doing something better with it, I took the money and decided to go to Durban, so one, I could see the ocean before I died. Then I did some other reckless and stupid things with the money. And then 7 years later, I'm kicking myself for having done that.
Pulu's favorite saying is that if you wait around for HIV to kill you, you will get bored. And Pulu should know, after staying perfectly healthy for nearly a decade, he finally risked leaving the world of HIV activism to run his own business, the dream he'd had before testing. But he knew the life and death reality of AIDS would one day arrive.
I've always known that at some point, my HIV is going to change. My CD4 count kind of was stable for years. And I think 8 to 9 years, it was almost the same level. I think the longer it took to change, it's the more I panicked.
If you've got activation of the immune system for some or other reason, your CD4 will be relatively decreased in percentage, although the number might stay similar. The higher it is, the more...
The day came after starting his own business. With the world of responsibility now on his shoulders, Pulu got the dreaded test that showed his viral load was up, way up.
Even though I knew that I have HIV, I still used to drink. I used to party like till 2 o'clock in the morning. There was a time when I stayed up the whole night. But when I was told that my CD4 count is kind of at a level where I need to be concerned and my viral load is high, then I decided it's time to change. And it all starts in the mind.
There was only one place that Pulu, a trained journalist, could go to find peace in the battlefield of his mind.
I started documenting my life. Then I decided, okay, I'm going to write a diary about myself. Then I decided to go public about the diary because it was just for myself. And I realized that that was the best way to connect with the people that I've been looking for years.
For the first time, Pulu wasn't only talking to himself about the puzzles of HIV in middle-class suburbia.
The first diary that I posted, which became the Diary of Pholoholo, when I went public about it, suddenly everybody came out, across the country to say, I'm also living with HIV, I'm a lawyer. I'm also living with HIV, I'm a teacher. I'm also living with HIV, I work for this big company. I thought, I should have done this a long time ago. The first time when I announced it, about 2,000 people looked at it, and I got hundreds of emails. There was quite a lot of people who were scared to disclose to their partners. There were people who were scared to start treatment. There were people who just wanted to talk to somebody who's in their same position, and which is something that I struggled with a lot, that I felt like I couldn't relate with the people that I was talking to about living with HIV. I wanted to have children. I wanted to get married, I wanted to have my own company. And I didn't want to feel like HIV is a barrier for me. And I felt like there was not a lot of people who kind of could relate to what I was saying.
Soon, Pulu couldn't handle the workload. He barely slept anymore, and his phone never stopped ringing. He was risking burnout if he didn't make a plan.